Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite Ateez. Well,
hey, Megan.
Hello. Yeah.
we always do this.
Damn it. Damn it.
The pause is too long that we both chime in
Without
with the greeting.
Leah here, it just all fell apart.
She is the greeting leader and she is not here. So it's summer, y'all, and we're all doing a lot of traveling and stuff. And so we are kind of dividing and conquering for the next several episodes. So you're not going to hear us all together. Well, you'll hear us. No, you won't hear us all together because before this, you'll have had our uncensored, and then after that, bye.
Yeah, I mean, don't worry, we'll be back.
We will.
The gang will be back together.
Up. We're not breaking up.
It's just hard, and also sometimes we do want to bring in guest hosts. We like it. We think you like it. And sometimes recording with 4 people can be a lot. So it often is nice to kind of swap out one of us for a different third, And that's
it's also,
what will be happening.
Yeah, we're behind on deep dives. And so we've had, some instances recently where like Megan and I are watching something and Leah's not, Leah and I are watching something and Megan's not. And so, we're trying to take care of those deep dives of these popular dramas that we know everybody wants to hear about and wants us to cover, without having to assign anybody any homework that maybe they're not up to doing. And that's totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do like it. We talked about this before, that when we do kind of divide up dramas like this, we can cover more dramas. And I always like that because then in our episodes where we're talking about tropes, we can always talk about more dramas. And we have a bigger sample size to draw from when we talk about tropes and things like that.
Absolutely.
So I think it works out. I think it benefits us and you. But then obviously we are only human and can only watch so many dramas. I mean, I don't know. Some of our listeners literally.
I don't understand. I mean, we've asked, like I asked the question in one of our Patreon lives, and like, how do some of you who multitask dramas do it? Because I don't have the bandwidth for it, but I'm envious of those who do. And by the way, in case you still don't know our voices.
Oh, right.
Or you're brand new to us. It is Amy and Megan tonight.
Yeah, I am Megan.
He is the one who's missing.
Yeah, I am Megan.
She's the Amy. 2 of us. I am Amy.
Although apparently Leah and I are the ones that people.
Exactly. I'm the one with the most distinctive voice, I suppose. And
I know.
I'm like so embarrassed looking at my screen right now and seeing the explosion that is my bedroom.
It does.
that you can see.
Normally Amy has her like shoes lined up like perfectly. Because that's who she is. But I actually see several
shit all over the
place.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, look behind me, it's always a mess.
And there's a suitcase. I mean, there's stuff all over my dresser. You can't really tell, but there's 2 shoe boxes on my dresser with bras over the top.
Suitcase. I see.
Yeah.
It.
So yeah, we've got some trips coming up this summer, and I am the first one to head out on a cruise with my kids and my mom and my stepdad, and we're hitting up Europe. So I'm really excited about that, but packing for it while also trying to edit 2 books and finish 2 big projects at work before I go has been a little much.
Yeah.
I'm excited to take a break and talk about a drama that I love so much, and that I'm so grateful that you watched.
Yeah, we are very excited to talk about Lovely Runner. Amy told me to watch it, and
for once you listened.
I did listen, and I mean, the one spoiler we'll say now is that we did both very much enjoy this. And
I will hear nothing to the contrary. Nothing.
Yeah, it's a great drama, and tons of our listeners loved it. I mean, that was the feedback we got. So yeah, we're happy to talk about it. So yeah, let's get into it, because Amy and I are honestly, we have been dying to talk about this. So,
and we've been talking about it, just not with you all.
Yeah. So
we've been talking about it with each other.
Remind me, Amy, because one thing I do want to do is go over some of the text messages that I sent you while I was watching this.
Yes,
because some of them are and I feel bad because poor Amy. Well,
I love it. It's my most favorite thing. It's
I feel bad because you didn't have me when you watched it, but you had some of our listeners who were messaging.
Yes,
okay,
I did.
Good.
So
you weren't alone.
I'm literally opening Slack right now to our last exchange, which is you saying, I miss Sanjay. That's it.
Yeah.
I miss Sanjay, and me saying, welcome to my world, Megan.
And that was like
welcome
a week
to
later.
my world.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a week after it was over. Okay, so if you didn't know, Lovely Runner is a 2024 drama starring Byeon Woo Seok as Ryu Sanjae and Kim Hae Yoon as Im Sol. And it is available to watch in the US on Viki. I believe it was a TVN drama. Yes, the network. So the premise is this. Im Sol, a massive fangirl of idol Ryu Sanjae, is devastated to learn of his death, which is ruled as a possible suicide. With Sanjae's old watch she bought at auction, she is able to travel back in time to when both she and Ryu Sanjae are in high school, and in doing so, tries to prevent Sanjae's future death at all costs. However, her task becomes complicated when she learns her life and Sanjae's are more intertwined than she ever knew.
That's a great blurb. I love that.
Yeah. I want to
Nice
say,
job.
Amy, how did I do? Because this was actually kind of hard.
Yeah. to be able to blurb this how we like to blurb things without giving anything away, because we try not to spoil, right? That's how we start. We start off with the non-spoilery portion. That's really well done. I like it.
What I will say in writing, so I did write a script, with questions, because we like to have some sort of outline about what we're going to talk about. I struggled with tenses. When to use past tense, when to use present tense, when to use future tense. Because English, I don't think it counts for time travel. So
no, it does not. It does not.
I just want to say this. Please bear with me if I'm reading some questions and the tenses are weird. I know I tried, because part of it, you have to explain what happened in the past before, and then what happens in the past. It just got weird.
There's
so
multiple
I guess
timelines. Yeah, there's multiple timelines.
I just want to have a caveat about that. So if my questions sound weird, I'm sorry.
But we are way less confused to talk about this than we were A Time Called You. So
right. Oh, absolutely. This oh yeah, A Time Called You just baffled me, but Lovely Runner I could follow. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the title. If you have watched this entire drama and still don't understand why it's called Lovely Runner, you are not alone, because I am there with you. However, I have an answer. Lovely Runner is just the shortened English title. The literal translated title is Runaway with Sanjay on Piggyback. So any thoughts on the literal title?
I mean, look, I have to hand it to K-drama titles for often not pulling any punches.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally what Im Sol and probably every other Byeon Woo Seok fan wants out of life, which is to run away with Sanjay on Piggyback. But I also, it didn't baffle me as much. And that was because there was something that was said early in the drama that kind of clicked for me, even though it's not part of the translation of the title, where they talked about her being the runner of his fan club. And so I was like, oh, that works. Lovely Runner, that works.
It does. It does. So it works. I was just, when I hear runner, I'm thinking, run, physically running. So it threw me off, because I was like, oh, maybe he's a runner. I don't know. And he's not. He's a swimmer. Or at least he is in high school. We'll get there. But anyway, the title definitely threw me off, Lovely Runner. And then when I did see the literal title, I was like, oh, well now, and I see now why it got shortened. Right. So just Lovely Runner. I get it. But the literal title was long, but I kind of love it too. You get the piggyback trope in a title. Right. That's pretty good.
I mean, that's kind of like when we were talking about how a lot of romance books will now title, especially some indie romance books, a lot in your category too, you will title it exactly what it is.
Oh yeah. We've talked about that before, how my titles are extremely literal. And so exactly, this felt like an Amazon self-published book title. And I say that with love.
Yes.
Okay, so what are the tropes in Lovely Runner?
I mean, some of my favorites, as we've talked about, like what my type is. We've got
Mhm.
fated mates. We've got time travel. We've got first love. And this is not a huge spoiler because you find it out pretty fast. Hero falls first.
Yeah, and um one thing I'll say too is that the majority of the drama, this isn't really like a trope, but maybe this is like the butter, is the heroine protecting the hero
Yes, I
with
love it
like
so much.
everything she has. She is going to protect him. And we talk about it later, even at the risk of breaking her own heart. And I I found I actually freaking love that trope, because usually it's the
Yep.
man who's like sacrificing and blah 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 blah. It's like healer switched, where like she's the one who's going to protect him, and he doesn't even know. Like he doesn't even realize what she is doing for him. He has no idea.
And I think what I kind of love about it is for a really long time in the drama, because eventually Sanjay kind of plays a part in what she's doing as well. But like for a really long time in the drama, she has some really fantastic, Imsol has some really fantastic agency, right? We've got a
Hmm.
heroine with agency. Like she makes the decisions. She does what she wants to
Hmm.
get the results that she's trying to get. And I loved that. That gave her a lot of strength that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, and she's smart, and she's not selfish. I said before, she's one of the most selfless heroines
Mm-hmm.
that I've ever seen. So, any comps for Lovely Runner?
So, like you said, I was talking to other people about this drama before you watched it. And BTS Megan from Afternoona Army, she texted me on Insta a couple of weeks ago and said, "Did I hear you're watching Lovely Runner? And if so, do you think it's a Time Called You, but for the rom-com set?" And
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely think that that's a fantastic comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll also toss in like, my fave time travels like Twinkling Watermelon, as well, because all three have, somebody going back to the past to prevent someone else's death. Not necessarily always in a romantic way. But we've got not someone else's death, but prevent someone else's misfortune, accident, murder, whatever. Um, and so if you liked either of those, you're really going to love this one.
Yeah, and I'll also add My Perfect Stranger is also a pretty good comp, to be honest. It's the same as Amy, where you have a person going back in time to prevent the death of another, although they don't try to go back in time. This is a total accident. And there's, a murder mystery, serial killer type subplot. The romance was not um in My Perfect Stranger, the romance was definitely not a priority like it is in
Same with Twinkling
Lovely Runner.
Watermelon. There is romance in it, but the
Mhm.
romance isn't like the main priority.
Right. So that's the only thing. But I would say if you really enjoy the time travel and you love this like mystery of trying to solve something that's going to happen in the future, trying to solve it in the past, My Perfect Stranger is right up your alley.
Ooh,
I would
that
say A
sounds fun.
Time Called You feels like a really good comp. Like
This
I'm a
is just
little
a little
worried.
bit lighter. There's a
Oh,
lot more comedy in this. Like A
for
Time Called
sure.
You is heavy.
For sure, for sure. I do worry a little bit that as time goes on, I'm going to start to confuse A Time Called You and Lovely Runner, only because some of the like more of like the little parts of like the plot that deal with like the serial killer and stuff. I'm just a little worried I'm going to start to confuse them. So in the future, Amy, you'll have to check me, but
But both great dramas, so you should watch them.
yeah. And where does this drama fit into your all-time favorites? And more importantly, where does Ryu Sunjae fit into your all-time favorite heroes?
Look, so we recently did a thing in Patreon where we had our listeners guess our top 25 dramas. And it was really fun, not just to see what people thought we loved, but also to force us to put our top 25 down in writing with the caveat that they could change anytime. And they probably will with every new drama that we watch. But for this, like I honestly, and I just finished this before we did those top 25s. And so I threw this right on there. Like I was not expecting this drama to just annihilate me. And I mean that like in all the best ways. So I'm going to say top 5 dramas and top 5 heroes.
Wow.
And I feel the same way about Kim Hae-yoon as Im Sol
Yeah.
because she was just fantastic. And because I'm guessing you're going to ask, or our listeners want to know, well, okay, Amy, you can say it's in your top 5, but can you really list your top 5?
Mhm.
Because anybody can just arbitrarily say it's my top 5 now. Because
Right.
I think about how many times I've said something new is in my top 5, and I'm like, it's been more than 5 times I've done that.
Right. Leah does that all the time. She's like,
Yeah.
this could be my top 3. I'm like, really, Leah? Like about any drama.
Throwing her under the bus because she's not here.
Yeah.
So I did it. So I for today, it is June 19th. For today, June 19th, these are my top 5 dramas. And I have I reserve the right to change this in 5 minutes if I want to. Okay. So and this is in no particular order. Goblin, of course. Lovely Runner. The King Eternal Monarch. A Time Called You. Yes, that one made my top 5, and I even said it back when we watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And Alchemy of Souls for now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It really hurts me to not put Extraordinary You on this list. So I'm going to say it's right there as a close 5.5.
Okay.
How about
That's
you?
fair. I thought, yeah. I don't know. I really love this drama. I think I've said this before. I'm so loyal. It's very hard to knock out my top 5. It just is. So I wouldn't put it in the top 5. I'm going to give it a little bit of time to see where it falls into my ranking. I will say Ryu Sunjae is one of my favorite heroes, especially Ryu Sunjae as an adult, because obviously we get him. This is a time travel. We get him as a 19-year-old, and then we get him as like what he's like 30, like almost 30, something like that. Or no, he would be. Well, I don't remember. I think he's a little bit older because they go back.
Yeah, he was a
15
couple years
years
ahead in school, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I loved him. He was a fantastic hero through and through. Like there wasn't a point where he acted
green flags all over the place.
Yeah, a million green flags. I loved him, and he was one of those that was just once he was sure of his feelings, he was absolutely sure. Like he didn't waffle. He might have had a hard time like confessing. And even then he did it pretty quick. Again, not a spoiler, it's a romance. There's going to be a confession.
Right.
But when she was it for him, she was it for him, which is kind of like Gandu in Rain or Shine. Is it Gandu?
Gongdu.
Thank you.
Gongdu.
Yeah, kind of like him. Just like once he decides, that's it. And I love that.
I love that kind of hero. Like, oh, so good.
Me too.
So that's about it for the non-spoilers because we want to, I mean, like this, there's so much to talk about this drama and you have to get into like the time travel and all that fun stuff. So before we do, we're going to go to one of our favorite segments, which is our K-pop rec of the week. And Megan, what do you have for us this week?
I am thrilled to recommend Work by Ateez. This song is so fun. The video is a blast. You have one of the members literally popping out of an egg. It's funny. It's very danceable, very, very danceable. And the best part is that this comeback has gotten the Afternoona Army podcast contingent interested in Ateez. I've been getting messages from them, from some of the Afternoona Army about how they are into Ateez, and nothing makes me happier because there is enough to go around. You can love multiple groups, and yeah, I'm stoked. So I just adore this song, and I know you will too. So it's called Work, and it's by Ateez.
Awesome. And we can put a link to that video in our show notes, of course.
For sure. So we're going to get into the spoiler section now. If you haven't seen Lovely Runner and you want to, we will be spoiling it. So, and I
all over the place.
And this is a drama that I really do think you shouldn't be spoiled. I really, truly think you need to experience everything that happens as it happens. That's just my opinion. I still think you'd enjoy it. Trust me, you'd still enjoy like the romance and everything, but the drama is good enough. I know when dramas aren't that good, we're like, spoilers won't matter.
We're like, it doesn't matter. Just listen.
It doesn't matter. But this one's good, so it matters, if that makes sense. So yeah, but if you have seen it and want to hear us chat about all the spoilers and everything that happened, keep on listening. So I will tell you too, writing this script, I changed around the questions a million times. So I was trying to figure out what order to talk things.
How to tell a story. Yeah.
How to tell. It's very hard. Okay.
Because it's not linear. So like, what do you do?
It's not exactly, but it's not confusing while you're watching it. I will say that. This is not a time called you. As much as I loved a time called you, it was confusing. Very. Yes. This was not a time called you. This was very easy to follow. So if you are confused a little bit by like my questions, if you're still listening and you haven't seen it, the drama is not confusing. Okay. But let's, I guess, start with the first episode. I figured that was safe.
Totally safe. That's how everything, that's the catalyst, right? Like the time travel happens because of the first episode.
That is true. So in the first episode, we learn that Im-Sol is a fangirl of idol Sunjae. So Sunjae is a very, very famous idol in an idol group. And she's mainly,
right? It was what? Eclipse. Eclipse was the band? Yeah.
That's it, Eclipse. And the main reason is because she spoke to him once on a radio show while she was at the lowest point in her life after a car accident left her paralyzed. Years later, on a chance encounter after one of his concerts, they meet on a bridge and Im-Sol has her ultimate fangirl moment. However, Sunjae, on the other hand, is not doing well. The fame is getting to him and his group is breaking up. So later that night, he jumps or falls or something from his high-rise apartment into the pool below, where he is tragically found dead. And what were your initial impressions of the first episode? And at the time, did you have any theories?
So in dramas like this, obviously they are not giving you the whole story up front. So like I trust nothing, right?
Right.
And I did not think it was suicide. At least I didn't want it to be. And it's not because I don't think the subject shouldn't, it should be broached in K-dramas because it's an important subject. But I didn't like the idea of her crush on him, her love for him being what possibly saved him from mental illness. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want that to be the crux of it. I wanted it to be, I wanted Sunjae to have agency if that was, his situation. Like I loved Tomorrow, like we both loved Tomorrow, and Tomorrow did a great job dealing with the subject of suicide from so many different angles. And if you're looking for a drama that touches on that well, I would recommend that. I would recommend, If You Wish Upon Me, some dramas that I think do a pretty good job with that subject. But for this, I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it. He was going to be our hero. And, I feel like we were being, I felt like it was a red herring.
Right. It was a little bait and switch kind of.
Yeah. It was a little bait and switchy. It felt that way. And I like having trust issues with the narration because that gets me intrigued. Right.
Right.
And I enjoy that. Yeah. I enjoy that.
I mean, Im-Sol essentially is the narrator in a way of the first episode. You find out later
it's her point of view. Yeah. Because we do switch points of view.
Mm-hmm. You do. But you find she's an unreliable narrator. Not her fault. She doesn't know things, and she also forgets things, which is interesting. So I pulled up my text messages that I sent Amy. So I messaged her, I don't think she knew I'd started watching it yet. So I just messaged her, and I said, "I'm crying 8 minutes into Lovely Runner,"
which made me so happy.
I think is a record. Okay. I remember crying in the first episode of If You Wish Upon Me, but it wasn't until the end of the episode. 8 minutes into a drama might be a record. I mean,
remind me what happens 8 minutes in. Like what triggered you?
So 8 minutes. Shoot. I can't remember now. I have to look up. You know what? Right now, I'm going to go to the first episode and find out what was in at 8 minutes because I think. Oh, okay. This is it. So she's in the hospital.
Okay.
Im-Sol. She had just had a car accident and she learned that she was paralyzed. She wouldn't be able to walk. So she was paralyzed from like the waist down. She was in a wheelchair. And her her mom broke like a water glass, and so I'm going to there's a little bit of suicidal ideation in this, so just trigger for you. This is probably the only time I'm going to talk about it, but there's a broken glass and she picks it up and you can tell she is distraught. Her life has changed. She is a young girl. So I mean, I think she was like 16, 17 when this happened. She was young and she picked up the glass and I think she's contemplating cutting herself. And she gets a phone call and it's a random phone call from a radio station. And in the radio station is Eclipse, the band, and Ryo Sunjae. And they have a conversation. She's angry. She's like, I don't know who you are. I don't care about who you are. Like, I think they tell her to like go out and enjoy the weather or something. And she's like,
he does. Like
yeah. And she's like, I can't walk. And she's furious. She throws the phone and everyone's like, and the radio host is like, oh my God, let's end this. Let's end this. Hang up the phone. And Ryo Sunjae's like, hold on. I want to talk to her. And he tells her basically, what does he say? If it's a nice day or if it's raining, wait until it stops raining. Isn't that something like that? It's like,
it was something very uplifting. Like it was something along the lines of like, I'm grateful that you're alive today.
Yeah. He says, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being alive. And she hears it. I mean, it actually penetrates her absolute despair, and she drops the like shard of glass. Her mom comes in, sees her daughter, and I think her daughter had been very like not stoic, but just like out of it, like hadn't shown emotion to this point over the news that she had been in this accident. So when she walks in and she sees her daughter actually sobbing, like grieving, they hug. And they're just like crying together. And I love the actress who plays the mom. I do want to give her a shout out. Her name is Jung Young-ju, and I've seen her in other stuff, and she's awesome. And that whole scene like broke me. And I was like, it's 8 minutes.
It was very powerful.
Like,
it was.
How's this happening? So, and then so Amy had Amy then in our text messages, Amy wrote back and said, yes, it's so good. I love it. I hope you do too. And then I wrote back a little bit a while later and I said, okay, that was a killer first episode. I cried 3 times. 3 times.
Yep.
And then I did say, I have goosebumps over this drama. Don't say anything, meaning don't give me any spoilers. But I think Sunjae was murdered. So that was kind of my first. At that time, that was my first initial.
Yeah.
Because they give you clues. There's a knock at the door.
Exactly.
And they show that. But then all of a sudden he's like in the pool, having dropped however many stories. So
and it's interesting because that's also before we learned that he was like a champion swimmer too. So we don't know that yet.
Actually, yeah. I didn't even think about the pool.
And then we learned that immediately when she goes back in time in episode 2, we learned that he's like this champion swimmer. And I mean, maybe it was mentioned. I'm not sure if they showed the bits of that interview where he's talking about like how he got into singing because he quit swimming. Well, he had to because he was injured. But I just think this drama was masterful at dropping little clues.
It was, and the first episode was fantastic because it gave you enough to know. Actually, I will say this. Because we're going to get to this in a minute. It gave you enough to be intrigued, but it didn't give you everything.
No.
Because, and then episode 2 and 3 come in, and once you get Sunjae's point of view, you realize that this drama is going to be way more in-depth than you had anticipated. Like I had said in the blurb, Imsol realizes their lives have been intertwined this whole time. And once she realizes that, everything changes. The whole thing changes.
I loved when you first get his point of view, and then it changes everything with that moment on the bridge.
It changes everything. And that's why I loved it too. I don't mind. Sometimes I dislike getting scenes from different points of view, but I didn't for this drama because first of all, they didn't do it all the time. It was used sparingly and it was meaningful every time. So I didn't mind. I actually was like craving it. I would be like, oh, I wonder if they're going to show this from Sanjay's point of view. You know what I mean? You overdo it and it's too much. When you use it sparingly and meaningfully, then it's fantastic.
So good. Oh, I want to watch it all over again.
I know. So when Im-sol learns of his death, she's absolutely devastated. And I didn't go into it, but I do love the scene where she is in her wheelchair in like the middle of the night. She has this old watch of Sanjay's that she like bought on auction, you know, like a fan site. She drops it in the water. She you know, propels herself out of her wheelchair, crawl to this watch because she can't walk. And it's
it's in like a creek, just like she's not like in like swimming in water. Like it's a
creek. She's in a creek, but it felt like a really powerful moment. Yeah. She's like, I will drag myself.
No, I just meant that she wasn't like drowning or anything.
Oh, yes. No, that's a good point. Thank you. But it's like, it's the first inkling that you get that you realize how far she is going to go for him.
Like this is more than a fandom. Like she has some legit feelings.
She has some legit feelings, but I don't think she realizes quite how deep her feelings are at this point. She still considers herself his fan at this point. But while she's holding his watch, you know, like, I don't know, something weird happens and she gets transported back in time to high school. And this is before her accident, so she can walk. And when she's transporting back there, she learns that all along, while, you know, in the past, Sanjay had lived across the street from her. And she never knew. She didn't know who he was at the time. He wasn't famous. But he remembered her, and a chance meeting of those two, a meeting that she doesn't remember, changed Sanjay's life forever. And again, excuse my lack or my mix of past and present tenses. This is so hard. So this is when the viewer gets a taste at the role that fate will play in this drama, which at times to me seemed like a third character. You know how they say New York is like is like another character in Sex and the City? Fate truly was a character in My Lovely Partner. So did you like how this drama handled fate? And did you have like any quibbles?
So one thing that I just realized when you were mentioning it that I don't think we mentioned later, so I wanted to bring it up, is because they don't reveal it till like later in the drama, and it's pretty subtle how they do. The way that the watch works for time travel is she can time travel when Sanjay dies. Like his watch stops, and when he dies, the watch stops when he dies, and she can time travel.
You know what?
Because
did not even realize that was like,
because when and we'll get to this part of the drama in a little bit, but I just like, this is all just hitting me and I'm remembering it again.
Yeah, I do.
When he gets stabbed and falls in the water in that timeline, remember that she runs over to his corpse, his arm hanging on the gurney, and grabs the watch. Because
then she makes him go.
No, because she travels back.
Oh yeah,
she didn't have the watch. She didn't have the watch yet. Like he had the original watch.
She didn't have the watch yet.
In that timeline, I'm pretty sure, but it was the watch.
No,
it was
I
when
think
he died.
You're right.
Yeah. So I love that part of it.
That together.
Like, talk about their fates being intertwined. Like she, first of all, she doesn't understand in the beginning. She has the watch, and she's looking at the time of the watch, and then it's, you know, being broadcast on like the jumbotron outside on the side of a building, his death, and then she time travels with no explanation. And, so that was, this is before we knew that he fell first, before we knew that they had any past connection, because she doesn't remember him because she had one chance meeting with him thinking he was the delivery guy. And he had a crush on her ever since then. So she didn't remember that there was any past connection. So anyway, look, we know Fate of Mates is my catnip. It's my catnip. And I loved how it was employed here. First of all, it shows us that he fell first, right? Because there is that scene back when she's a teenager and she's expecting a package and she sees him carrying it because it accidentally got delivered to his house instead of hers, which is across the street. And so he's carrying it over and it's raining and she runs up to him and she's like all like bubbly and smiling. And she's like, Mr. Delivery Man or whatever. She's like, thank you, takes the package and kind of like just bounds away and thinks nothing of it. And we literally see him fall for her in that moment. Like just the look. And from then on, it turns Sanjay, who in the first episode we thought was just this sort of like untouchable, like idol guy. It turns him into the most adorable goober who was trying so hard to hide his gooberiness from her and not reveal himself too soon. And it also gave the whole story a sort of Final Destination feel.
Yes.
Their fate in that no matter what Imsol did to keep her terrible fate of being stalked by a serial killer from interfering with Sanjay's fate, where he, rather than she, ended up dead, she couldn't do it. They were fated to fall in love, and Sanjay was fated to die in every timeline. And that added some great tension to the story. I loved it.
Yep, same. I mean, that was it. It was the fact that like you can't beat fate. I would say My Perfect Stranger had a little bit of that too. So real quick, in My Perfect Stranger, the lead heroine, the main character, she's an adult in like the present timeline, and her parents they like hate each other. They're miserable. Her father's an alcoholic. She hates her father. She thinks her father put her mom through hell. She goes back in time to the hometown where her parents grew up when they're in high school. And she is adamant about keeping them apart. And it's funny to a degree because they're like fate's drawing them together because they're meant to be together, kind of. Because you find out later why her parents are like they are and blah, 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 blah. So she can change some aspects of their relationship, which she does, but she can't keep them apart. And I do love when fate is like, romance is fate. Like, that's it. Like, yeah, sometimes you can change some other things, but like romance is gonna be fate. And I did love the role Fate played. And I like how she, there was a point where I think I messaged Amy and I was like, oh my God, she is doing too much. This heroine is doing too much. Because
I love her. You also message, you're like, I'm enjoying them in the present when they're adults. And then maybe like 10 minutes later, we're like, oh my God, she traveled back again.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, she went back again. Stop going back. I was so annoyed. So no, it was, I understand, but my point is that she wasn't willing to accept it. She was like, I'm not accepting this. I am not accepting that Sanjay is going to die. I will beat this. I will beat it. And we have to say too, Sanjay isn't just going to die. He's going to die. The fate is he is going to die at the hands of this serial killer, which we'll get to him later. That's supposedly his fate. Not just going to die.
Right. Not just die, but right. It's who's going to kill him.
And it's going to be while protecting her. Basically. Yes. So, so I loved it. I will admit, sometimes I was like, oh my God, girl, I don't know. This might just be what happens. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But no, you do not tell Imsol what to do. And I think that's one of the reasons we just did a Marry, Mate, Murder episode recently. So listen to that if you didn't, but I said I would marry Imsol because I was like, dude, that woman would take care of me. She would do anything for me. She would go back in time 3 times for me.
She'd break her own heart for me.
She would break her own heart for me. Okay. So this is where we talk about this a little more. So during one of the times by this point I was like, I don't remember which time. During one of the times when Imsol is in the past, Sanjay dies from a fall off a cliff and a serial killer stabbing. And that's when Imsol decides then that the only way to fight fate and save Sanjay in the future is to make sure that she and Sanjay never meet. So despite how much she loves him, that's when she sees his arm with the watch. She runs over, hits the button to go back in time. Because despite how much she loves him, she goes back in order to stop their first meeting from ever happening. So, what were your reactions to his death and the scenes following when Imsol returns to the future? And what did you think about her decision here?
I know you have some strong feelings about this. So,
Well, not oh well.
yeah,
It's only the narrative.
yeah. So I had faith in rom-com plot armor that Sanjay would not truly be dead.
Right.
Right. But I still was devastated with this particular death of his because it was after Sanjay figured out that she was a time traveler and that he would likely die because of her. And he told her that he didn't care, that if he died because he was saving her, that he was okay with that. And for Imsol to know that and then have to watch it happen, I was devastated for her to have to experience that. But I never for a second thought that he would not exist in the future. But then her preventing their first meeting, again, super heartbreaking to see her go through the moment when Sanjay was supposed to fall for her, with her knowing that he would fall for her if he saw her. Like, this is such a common K-drama trope, like where one of the leads sacrifices their own heart to save their true love. And it hooked me in our gateway drama, Crash Landing on You, when Captain Ree does it to Yoon Suri. And it still had me in its clutches for Lovely Runner. To quote, Kim Shin's turn of phrase, I love sad love. But it also then did provide for some good comedy in the present because, of course, as hard as she may try, and she has been able to keep her life from intertwining with Sanjay's for like 15 years now. And of course, their paths cross eventually when they're adults. And it's very comedic. Like she's rescuing a drunkenly written resignation note to her boss and accidentally bumps into him on a staircase where he is at an award show and he's supposed to give an award and their envelopes get exchanged. And instead of reading who won this award when he's up on stage, he reads her drunk resignation note. And it's hilarious. And there's a lot of comedy that ensues after that because he has no idea who she is. And that was kind of fun for them to at least give it a comedic twist after we had all of this heartbreak and heart-wrenching scenes before.
Yeah. So, he says to her, as Amy said, he says, if I die saving you, I don't care. It's okay. And I sent Amy that quote with a crying gif. I was like, you have to be kidding me. I'm crying. Okay, but I will say the way this was shot, I have some issues. And this is why. I knew he wasn't dead. Like, I knew he wasn't dead. Like, because it was like episode 13, like, or something like that. I knew he wasn't dead.
Right.
But then but I thought maybe though he was dead, I didn't know when he was going to somehow.
They took a long time in the next episode for him to show up.
They took a long time and I was very irritated. So he dies. They don't show that she hit the watch. They don't show that at all.
No, you don't know. You just see him die.
All of a sudden the next episode opens up and she's in the present. And she's like working and she's going about her life. And I'm thinking, you just killed this guy at like fucking 19. And you're what? What are you doing? Because then
la-di-da, living your life. Yeah.
You're just la-di-da, living your life, even though you killed him 15 years early. I was so mad because that I believed. I thought maybe, she was just trying to find the watch. She hasn't found the watch yet. She couldn't go back in time yet. And I was like, girl, you better be fucking scorch earth, find the goddamn watch and go back. I was so irritated. So there were all these scenes that I was supposed to care about her fam. I didn't care. Because
you were waiting to get to Sanjay. Yeah.
I was waiting to get to Sanjay. I was waiting to find out what happened. So I'm like fast forwarding through all this like bullshit.
I totally get it.
So I wasted like half the episode because I was in a rage. Like I will be honest, it was in a rage.
Because they even gaslight you when she's drunk and with Kim Tae-sung in the present. And she was like, I miss Sanjay. And there's been zero mention of him since he died as a teen.
They absolutely gaslit me and I was pissed. So then when you find out he's alive and then they show you what she actually did, that she went back, changed that first meeting and they don't know each other at all.
It's probably 30 minutes in.
It is. Then I was like, well, that's a fucking great part of the plot. Like, thank you. But you just wasted 30 minutes of me in an absolute rage. And now you want me to calm down? Like my heart rate was up. And I was like, well, now I have to de-stress to be able to enjoy the rest of this. You know what I mean? I understand why they did it, but I never like that. I never like where they let you believe something for that long.
Right.
When it's like rage inducing. Like you know what I mean?
And I don't want to give anything away, but I'm going to bring up another drama that we've done like way, way back because it's something where I had the total opposite reaction. So there is a character death. I won't say who. There's a character death in Happiness or a possible character death in Happiness, right? You're not sure, but you think, oh my gosh, this character died. And like literally 5 minutes later, nope, just fine. Like they resolved it like super quickly. And I was like, you know what? Let me see some grieving.
Oh, right.
You know, like that.
Well, that's okay though. If like, that's the thing though. They instead, I felt like they were tricking me. And of course they were. And that just made me mad.
Right.
So
they were.
That's my only beef. It was the choice they made. But
they tricked you for a long time. Like they made you stew and you're like, yeah, let me know what the fuck happened to Sanjay.
And again, my heart rate was up, my blood pressure was up, and then it was very hard to like settle myself to like enjoy. But let me get to her decision because once I knew what happened, then my heart broke. Because then I realized what she did.
Right.
Because if you think about it, at that point, oh my God, she had been through like 3 lifetimes with Sanjay. She knew everything about him. She was no longer just a fan.
And watched him die 3 times.
She watched him die 3 times. She loved him. She knew he had feelings for her. He had already confessed to her. Like the connection that they had at that point, and the fact that she knew she was going to have to live the rest of her life with the absence of that connection, strictly to save his life. And he would never know. Absolutely fucking killed me. Yeah. I like the sacrifice that she made to do that. I just, it's one of the most selfless things I've seen in a K-drama.
Yep. And I was 100% on her side.
It wasn't like giving her life with honor or something like that. This was doing something that not a single person would know about.
Nobody would know.
Nobody.
Except her.
Nobody but her. And she couldn't tell anyone. She couldn't confide anyone. She just had to carry that heartbreak with her for the rest of her life. And she even and he was famous and she knew he would be famous. So she still had to see him. Just the way that this blew my mind. The way that this blew my mind was that's it. Okay, I need to move on. Because I don't really even know what else to say about it.
It was devastating. It was so well done, which is why I love that they threw in some comedy afterwards and let their new meet cute be very funny.
Yeah, their new meet cute, which actually I had another question, but let's actually talk a little bit about the romance, then we'll talk about the comedy.
Okay.
Because the romance of Lovely Runner is definitely what made this a fan favorite. I mean, our socials were blowing up with listeners asking us to watch this drama. I think if we didn't watch it, people would be mad.
Yes.
So what was it about the romance that worked for you? And did you have any favorite romantic moments? I know that is like a very broad question for an extremely romantic K-drama, but
I know. There you go. I mean, we've already talked about it, like him, saying that he'd die for her. Mm-hmm. And that just killed me because he said it with a smile, like he was like, if I die protecting you, then that's okay. And I was like, good God, man, like how can you do this? But I also really love, the package delivery scene, like that really got me in the beginning. The whole, like he fell first thing just really endeared me to the character of Sanjay, to Byeon Woo Seok as an actor, and how we saw in a moment with just the way she smiled up at him and the way he looked back at her, that he was a goner.
Mhm.
And that to me, especially like learning that, you know, in her first travel back and learning that this is fated mates, I was like, you've got me, like hook, line, and sinker. Like, absolutely. That was the best.
So, yeah, once she makes that decision where they're never going to meet, they happen to meet again, and he doesn't know who she is because she ensured that they never met. He never saw her. She like had her like, which I thought was kind of crazy that she like had her family move. Like, how did you make that decision?
Oh my gosh. Like that is, how do you make that
She's
big
like, I'm
decision
fucking
for your
moving.
family?
Like, I know, it's so funny. Anyway, but this is the fated mates. The fate part about it.
Right.
Is they still met in the future. Their lives still became entwined no matter how hard she had to push him away. And this was also, I realized why she was, I wasn't even super frustrated with her at this because she kept pushing him away. She was like, do not become involved with me. And she was actually kind of mean to him because she's like, I don't want you involved with me. And she basically finally like confesses, like, you don't know what I have done. You don't know what I have been through. And you bringing yourself back into my life is like putting at risk everything that I risk.
Because she works for an entertainment company, like a movie company, right? A production company, right. And they want him to star in the movie. And she's like, no, I wrote the script. I will not have Roo Sun-jae in my movie. Absolutely not. And she's so combative. And it's
but
so
the movie is basically her life, how she went back in time to save a boy. But this is the thing. He like knows, he feels a connection with her. He reads the script and starts crying.
Oh my God. I forgot about that when he reads the script.
And he's like, there's something that is drawing him to her. And I don't care if it doesn't make sense to people. I don't give a shit. I loved it.
Yeah.
I love that he was drawn back to her because it was fated. It was fate. He was always going to fall for her. He was always going to meet her, whether it happened when they were in high school or when they're like over 30, it was always going to happen. And he was just a million red flags. I remember when they were stuck in the Ferris wheel.
A million red flags?
Oh, I'm sorry. A million.
I was like,
sorry.
What are you saying about my Sun-jae?
Like, hello. A million green flags. Remember when they were stuck in the Ferris wheel?
Yeah.
And she kind of like, just being in his presence is like too much for her. She is like dying inside because she loves him, but she was also trying to save him. And now she is stuck in a Ferris wheel with him because the Ferris wheel like stops working, of course. I remember she kind of like passes out and he carries her out and there's like a crowd.
Because here's like this famous man carrying this random woman. Oh my God, he was wearing the necklace.
He was wearing the necklace.
The necklace that he bought for her in the past. And then in the present where he just walked by the store, the jewelry store and saw it and just didn't understand why, but he had to buy it for himself.
Yeah. So actually, I didn't even ask this question, but let's get into it. What did you think about him getting his memories back?
I dropped that at the end because I wanted to make sure we brought it up.
Oh, yeah, did you? Why don't we talk about it now? Because I
loved it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I honestly didn't read about criticism of this drama, so I don't actually know if this was like a criticism or not. So at one point he gets his memories back. He gets it all.
He remembers every timeline. Like being near her is like altering his like chemical makeup.
For real. It's amazing.
Like he keeps having these like flashes and these dreams and he's like, what the hell? Like this, I never experienced these things I'm remembering myself as having done.
Yeah. He would like cry like random because he was like, why am I crying? Why do I feel drawn to this woman? Why do I keep envisioning her? For a while, he was like kind of a faceless woman. And then when he sees who it really is, yeah, he remembers every timeline. It was very like, I don't know. It reminded me a little bit of King the Eternal Monarch in that they could like, they were going to connect in every sort of like timeline or whatever. I feel like it was necessary to give me a happily ever after. I needed them to be on the same playing field.
And for him to know what she did for him.
and for him to know what she did for him.
And I mean, like, talk about romantic. Like, so this happens at the end of episode 15, where he's like stumbling into the street because all these
right,
like visions are coming back, and he almost gets hit by a car, but he doesn't. And he just kind of collapses on his back in the middle of the street. And then, we see like the rest of that scene in the final episode. And then he gets up and just starts running. And
right.
She's running because she heard he was in an accident. And he's running because when he finally gets her, he's like, I'm so sorry. It took me so long to remember. Like, oh my God. Like, seriously. I can't. I just can't. It's the most romantic. It might be one of the most romantic scenes.
It's a bit like Goblin when she
Yes.
Well, whatever.
Whatever. If you have not seen Goblin yet.
Yeah. What do you want me to do? And you don't know what I'm talking about if you haven't seen it. But the point of Goblin when she remembers him was incredible. And I would say that this was also absolutely incredible the way it was done.
Oh my God.
I just loved it. I loved that he got
I'm going to go watch it again. I'm going to go watch just that scene tonight. Like, I have so much to do, and I'm going to pause and give myself that joy and watch that scene.
I don't care if it didn't make sense because time travel doesn't make sense.
No.
So it's okay to give me a little bit of magical realism. It's okay to do that.
I'm okay with suspending disbelief when it is so romantic that I'm just like a puddle of goo.
And there's no reason it couldn't happen. If you can time travel, then it makes sense to me. You know what I mean? There's
however you want it to happen.
Yeah,
right.
This is fiction to me.
This is fiction. So don't logic me, and don't
logic me.
Don't tell me that, don't tell me that it would be impossible because he didn't do the time traveling and he remembers because he lived those timelines.
He still lived them.
A version of him lived them.
Yeah. Can you imagine being like 30 and realizing you lived
like 3 other timelines?
Yeah. Yeah.
And fell in love with Imsol in every single one of them. Oh, I love it. I love it. I really did love them meeting as adults in the last one, though, in the last timeline, and having this sort of like enemies to lovers thing. Where she thinks he's this pompous jerk of an actor. And then they actually get like, there's a friends thing that happens first before any of this stuff starts happening. And I'm sorry. I thought the writing was fantastic, and I don't give a shit about logic.
Yeah. And actually, let's talk about that. So this drama obviously has some darkish and sad moments with lots of angst, but there is also a lot of humor. So do you have any examples, especially of funny scenes involving Im Sol as an adult reliving her teenage life? Because that was a lot of comedy. Because remember, she's like a 30-year-old woman, and she's living her own teenage life. And frustrated with her teenage self and the decisions her teenage self has made.
Right. I mean, we can both agree on the condom scene as being the funniest one, right? The
exploding bag of condoms.
Duffel bag of condoms.
Yeah. And she had just like accidentally ripped Sanjay's shirt, so he's standing there with like one titty out.
in her mom's video store.
In her mom's video store.
So like literally like boob hanging out.
Yep.
And he his duffel bag, he has his duffel bag, and his dad comes in, her mom comes in, and they're trying to separate them because like, what are these two doing? Like, they having sex because they like fallen asleep on the couch or something initially.
Asleep, and she had drooled on him and was
she was trying to like cover it up. That's right. She ended up ripping his pocket,
cheap shirt, but whatever,
and titty out. Right,
titty out.
So then they come in, and both their parents are like, oh my God, we need to separate these two. And, it's very like Montague and Capulet, like her mom's pulling her away and his dad's pulling him away. And I don't know who's tugging at his bag. Like he's holding his bag and she's trying to get him to stay. And his dad's trying to pull him away, and duffel bag rips. And it is an explosion of condoms that are not Sunday's.
Yeah, they're not his. But it's so good. It really is. It
goes slow-mo, and the like the hilarious, like classical music or something. I mean, like it was just hilarious.
And there's like aftermath because then he has to tell them they're not his condoms, and it was good. It was good.
And they have to get his friend to come over and admit that like that's my bag of condoms. And
And they called them weenies. The grandmother called them weenies.
Yes. Oh
which
my
I've never
gosh.
heard, but was very funny.
Yes, that was awesome. So, I mean, yeah, we both were like dying over that scene, but I also loved, especially being an adult in her teenage body, when she first encounters her boyfriend from the past, or her crush from the past, Kim Tae-sung. She first encounters him and he's like too cool for school kid, like smoking in the back alley. And she's like, you shouldn't be smoking. These are terrible for you. Like, grabs his cigarettes, and she ends up getting caught by a teacher and punished for smoking. And I mean, like, where she's kneeling and has to hold her hands in the air. And I just thought that was hilarious.
So I love some of the scenes where she, as an adult in her teenage body, has to interact with Kim Tae-sung, who is like the crush she had as a teenager. Because as an adult, she's like, oh, like, why did I ever like him? He's just like a bad boy poser. Like, she is like not into it. But what's great? So let me explain. So first, she's in the past. Right before she gets put back in the present, she agrees, or Tae-sung is like, will you go out with me? And then all of a sudden she's like transported to like the present. So you don't really know what happened. Okay. When she goes back in time later, turns out, of course, her teenage self, loves Tae-sung. So she was like, oh my God, yes. So they've been together this whole time. It's been like a month since she's like been gone or something. So they've been together this whole time. And she's like, oh my God, why did I say yes? I am so cringy. I cannot believe and Tae-sung isn't a bad guy, but she's like, I'm not dating a teenage boy. Like, she doesn't want to do this. And the best part is she meets him and her point is to break up with him. But she doesn't remember that her teenage self did this like very cringy thing.
Right.
It's his birthday. And so before she can tell the restaurant where they're meeting, no, they bring out this cake and they play a video of her singing happy birthday to Tae-sung. And it is so cringy, so embarrassing, so funny. And Tae-sung like loves it. And she is just sitting there mortified that she's like, oh my God, why was I so embarrassing? I love that whole scene. I thought it was hysterical. I thought it was just well done.
It like really was.
It was a very good comedic break from serial killing and death and angst. Like, it was just the comedy was well placed, especially when it came to Im-sol. I thought it was really, really funny. And speaking of Tae-sung, he is our second male lead, who turned from a bit of kind of just like a plot roadblock into a real gem of a human, if I do say so myself.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you think of Song Gon-hee as Kim Tae-sung, and does he deserve a second male lead SOS?
At first, I'm going to admit I was annoyed when he was thrown into the mix, because this is one of those love triangles where you knew Sanjay was the end game. Like, there was zero question. I was never
like him at all.
Oh no, Im-sol, like, don't make it wrong. Like, no. Kim Tae-sung had no chance.
None.
So why bring him into the fray? But I ended up loving his addition to the story for a few reasons. First, in Im-sol's initial past, like you said, Tae-sung was her first love. So whenever Im-sol left her teenage body and went back to the future, the Im-sol of the past, like you said, changed from loving Sanjay to being enamored with Tae-sung. And I thought this caused so much like fun confusion for both the male leads, because even Tae-sung realized when the more mature Im-sol would show up and he's like, this is the one who doesn't like me. Like, so it was really funny, and it caused some good friction. And I liked that. Cause even though we knew Sanjay was the end game, we knew that past Im-sol was going to be a problem. And so that was funny. Mm-hmm. Second, I love the enemies to lovers setup of Sanjay and Tae-sung.
Yes. As
the competing, loves. This part of the story was like an absolute delight. And then, like, finally, I know a lot of people sometimes eye roll at a deus ex machina resolution, meaning an outside force being the one to swoop in and solve the problem. Mm. But we had already learned that fate was coming for Im-sol and Sanjay, no matter how hard they tried to outrun it. And to see Taesung get to be the hero that brought Im Sol her happiness, I thought was so lovely. Like, I don't feel like he's in need of an SOS in the sense that he was done dirty. Because I think he got something out of his role in this drama. And I don't think he was heartbroken.
Yeah, so I agree with a lot of what you said. So at first I was like, oh, he's just sort of like there. And I feel like he was just a little bit of a plot filler, but I mean, I learned later he wasn't. Like, he has a very important part to play in the drama, but I admit every time she went back, I was kind of like, get rid of this guy. But again, like you said, it did lead to a lot of comedic moments that I really, really enjoyed, because that birthday thing was one of my favorite comedic moments of the drama.
It was so funny. Oh my gosh.
But then he starts to play a much larger plot. And the thing is, she helped him too. Because we do learn that in the timeline, if she never went back in time, okay, he like dropped out of school and I think was just kind of like faded away into oblivion. I don't think they definitely made it seem like he didn't do anything productive. I mean, do we know? No, but that's the way they made it seem. Okay. They say like he got in a fight and dropped out or something. But once she goes back in time, she really affects his life. Like, she's like, go to school, make something of yourself, study. Like, and he did, I think, partly to impress her, and partly I do think he sensed something different about her. He truly, truly did. I mean, later he does learn the truth. He's like the only one she confides in, which I did like that too, because he ended up being a really good friend to her.
He did.
Both in the past and then in the present. He was a good friend to her. And so I love the idea that he had kind of like fought with his cop dad, but then once she affects his life in a positive way, and she goes back to the current timeline, he's a cop. And he's a good cop, and he's her friend. They're friends. Does he still have feelings for her? Yes. But I love the idea that he was still involved in her life. And I didn't know how this was going to end. I really didn't. I mean, I realized that the serial killer, which we'll get to, was going to have to be thwarted somehow. And I actually, look, if you're going to actually quibble about the rules of the drama and the fact that they couldn't escape fate, then the way the drama did it was probably the most accurate, because Sunjae and Im Sol weren't the ones who affected the fate. It almost had to come from a third party. In a way. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the fact that because how the serial killer is killed is first Taesung like runs him off the road, and then he gets hit by a bus and goes flying off a bridge and falls in the water.
Which is what happened to Im Sol.
Because that's how Im Sol
in the first part, yeah.
But the serial killer dies, so it was caused by Taesung. And so, like, again, I guess if you're gonna really be a stickler for the rules of fate in this drama, which I don't really care about, but if you are, that actually makes the most sense. That Ryu Sunjae and Im Sol needed a little help,
and they needed somebody else to take Sundae's place. It went kind of the way of like Marry My Husband, where like she could only change her future if other people took her fate.
Right. So essentially the serial killer had to take her fate, and it required someone else to affect that fate. And so that's okay to me. I was okay with that. It worked for me. And I also at that point didn't freaking care, because because at that point that's when you learn Sunjae gets his memories back, and I was like, game on. The romance
get to the romance part of it. Get rid of the serial killer.
Yeah, romance is full steam ahead. Fantastic. And I agree. Taesung wasn't done dirty, but he was a really good character, and I do think I want to write him an SOS, because
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve one. I'm just saying he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. Yeah. No. He was super charming. Like, I have to be honest, he was a good second male lead. Again, at the beginning, I was irritated with him, but towards the end, I was like, I freaking love this guy. And
he had some good growth.
Yeah, and we recently did a podcast episode on like the importance of soju, and Sunjae and Taesung's like drunken karaoke.
The best.
It was great, and that's another thing too.
And spooning each other in bed afterwards.
Yeah, the fate of those two was also very funny because they were always bound to kind of be enemies, but yet also like partners a little bit. Like they were always kind of destined to also meet, which was also very cool.
Yeah, I like that a
So it
lot.
wasn't like fate played its part for a lot of characters in this drama. Let's say that, you know?
Yes.
Okay. So as most time travel dramas, this one had rules that were specific to the world. And one of them was that Imsol could not tell anyone the future or write it down. When she tried to, the world froze around her. So what did you think of this rule and others? Did you have like any grievances with the way time travel was handled in Lovely Runner?
First of all, I think this was a very cool rule
Mm-hmm.
because in almost like every other time travel thing I can think of, people talk about being time travelers, but nobody believes them. In this, if she said anything, time literally stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, I loved when she used this for her own,
Say that.
for her own benefit. Like when she
Mm-hmm.
was in Sanjay's house and needed to get out without anybody seeing, and she just screamed something from the future and then ran out the door.
She was like talking about two celebrities that ended up marrying each other, and it was so funny because she just starts yelling it.
But what I also liked about this is that because like we were saying, like both Sanjay and Kim Tae-sung noticed when Im Sol changed personality, right? She was someone different. And Sanjay ended up figuring it out. Like he was able to ask her about it and, you know, she could at least like answer like yes and no, but she just couldn't say anything about the future. And so I love that because it made him come to that conclusion on his own, which meant that he trusted that conclusion, right? Because if somebody tells you they're a time traveler, I mean, like, how do you prove that? And she especially couldn't because she couldn't say anything about the future. So yeah, I really love that he figured it out and that it kind of made them partners then in trying to outrun fate together.
Yeah, and I love that Tae-sung figured it out too. Because obviously, like, think about if I travel back as my teenage self, like, are you kidding me? Like, it's gonna be two different people. Like, it just is. So same. I really enjoyed the way time travel is handled. I thought it was funny that the world froze. I haven't seen that or time stopped. I haven't seen that in another drama that like sort of time travel rules. So I thought that was really neat. And it made sense to the plot because she couldn't be like, oh, hey, you're gonna die.
Right.
Because if she could say that, the drama would go a lot differently.
Right. It would be like 2 episodes long.
Yeah, it would have been 2 episodes long. So that's also, I thought it was a clever rule. I liked it. I actually thought it was really neat.
And it happened. So right before Sanjay's death as a teen, when she was still trying to outrun fate, I loved her using the fact that he knew to her advantage to try and save him, even though it didn't work, where she said, you know, I could go at any time. Like, I don't know when I'm going to get sent back. And when she realizes that fate changed and where the killer was supposed to find her, they're on a train after spending, you know, like the weekend away. They're on a train back to Seoul and she pretends like she's the old Im Sol so that she can be like, who are you? Why am I with you? I need to get out of here. And she gets off the train and tries to go like face a serial killer by herself.
Of course, he figures it out. Figures it out later, but that was a good little twist.
Oh, so good. So good. Yeah, I loved the rules of this. I thought it was very creative.
Yeah, I thought it was creative. So look, we cannot have a sweet time travel romance without a serial killer, of course. I kid. So what did you think about, this is objective.
Say it.
The flat one note villain story line, because you can't tell me he was an interesting villain.
No. So look, I like to hate on one note killers, but this guy was not like a ring twisting silly stereotype like Shin Sung Rock's character, Lee Jae Kyung in My Love from the Star, like where you just knew as soon as he twisted that ring, somebody was going to die.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
He was like, I'm sorry to the actor, like it's not his fault, like that was the role he was given, but like that one makes me laugh whenever I think about it. Mm-hmm. Like he was just a serial killer, like that was his role
with a torture barn. I mean,
like sometimes And sometimes that's just what people are without reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was okay with it there, right?
Wow.
With him just being a serial killer. He was a cog in Imsul and Sanjay's Wheel of Fate, and he played the part that he was given in each storyline.
Right.
I did think that him coming for Sanjay initially, as soon as he got out of prison, to kill him that first time after his concert was kind of silly.
Yeah.
Because he'd already done his time, right? Like Sanjay
Right.
couldn't turn him in again.
Right.
So I feel like
it's just like, oh, I hate you.
Right. I feel like if you're going to throw a one-note serial killer into the mix, then he's either a random serial killer or a revenge killer, but you can't be both.
Right. You can't be both. Right. Like, why don't you get out and like kill an easy person?
Right. Go find somebody else.
Why are you going up to a high rise to kill a celebrity?
Or go get Imsul, who's the one you always wanted to kill.
Yeah.
And she escaped.
Yeah. I mean, was he dumb? Yeah. But you know what? He wasn't the point of the drama. Like,
No,
this
he was not.
He was a plot muppet in a way. As you said, he was like a cog in the wheel. And he was gonna.
And I was okay with that. I didn't want his backstory.
Yeah, I was okay with it because this wasn't the type of drama where could they have somehow made him intertwined in their lives? Yes, that really would have changed the drama. I think that would have made the drama more like A Time Called You.
Yeah.
Having a random serial killer led them to do other things in the drama, like the family, the side characters,
right.
the romance. It allowed other things to take precedence in the drama. And so I was okay with it. I mean, you can only do so much. Like, you know what I mean?
I know.
I'm never going to say, hey, can I have more serial killing instead of romance? No, of course, I'm not going to say that. Okay. So I don't really, it is what it is. And
right. It's not like Flower of Evil, where
correct.
The serial killing is a main part of the story because we're looking at the nature of psychopathy.
Correct.
Right. And that's what that whole drama was about. Mm-hmm. So we needed serial killers to have backstories in that drama. In this, we do not. He just kills because he kills.
Look, he's just a serial killer. Okay. Yeah. That happens. I mean,
and he's drawn to kill the same people again and again.
Just whatever timeline he's going to kill him. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So what role would you like to see Byeon Woo Seok play next?
Everything, all of the roles, put him in every drama, please. But look, I gave you my top 5 dramas, so it's going to be no surprise to you that I would like to see him play something like supernatural or magical, like rather than a human, like, a goblin or a mage or some other supernatural who falls for a human, because that is my other catnip. And I would like some more, please. And I would like some more Byeon Woo Seok. So let's put them together.
He's so great. And, this drama really gave him a lot of roles. He had to be an athlete. He had to be a teenager. He had to be an idol. He had to be like a full grown adult.
And he sang for real in this.
Yeah, he sang. You could tell. I mean, it was, he had a lot of roles. He kind of had to be a little bit of a jerk sometimes, kind of like a little bit of like a rich jerk. Mm-hmm. Not full jerk. Okay. Just like he got pushed into a fountain.
When you're famous. Yeah. When you're famous, when you're rich and famous, you're a little bit entitled, and he was a little bit entitled.
Right. And, so he had to play a lot of roles. And so it made me think, oh my God, this guy could play anything. Like my favorite Sanjay was the Sanjay who was like agonizing over when he was going to confess to Imsul. That was my favorite Imsul, favorite Sanjay. He was very charming. I said this to Amy, to me, watching him was like a cross between Kim Soo-hyun and Park Seo-joon. I think he had kind of the stature and charm of Park Seo-joon, but he looked like Kim Soo-hyun, and he also kind of had, there was something, the vulnerability that Kim Soo-hyun could play. I just thought he was a really good mix. He played this role so well, and I think this has catapulted him to stardom in Korea, and well-deserved, because he was very, very good in it.
Ugh. I mean, he is one of my new favorites. Absolutely.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I've got a final thought
Yeah.
that's kind of gonna blow your mind.
Okay.
Because I literally just I had it on my notes to talk about, but then I did a quick like Google to like
Yeah.
remember a certain scene, and I found a Reddit thread that I'm like, holy fuck.
Okay.
Holy fuck. Okay.
Okay.
So the whole watch thing starts because Imsol's grandmother, who lives with Imsol's mom and her,
Right.
in the present, she's got dementia.
Right. How did I
And
miss? I'm sorry that I didn't bring up Granny. She was
oh, it's
great.
okay
So
because
thank you for bringing her up.
I'm gonna maybe blow our minds. We'll
We
see.
loved her. Yeah.
So when she's looking for the watch initially, her grandma is like dancing around their house, like wearing the watch,
Yeah.
like a child.
Yeah.
She's very childlike in the present.
Right.
And Imsol gets the watch back, and that's when the time travel starts and whatever. And at the end of the drama, when the serial killer is finally dead, which by the way, this is how much K-dramas like gaslight me, is that like I didn't believe that he was really dead until the drama was done. Because I'm like,
I know.
the serial killers always come back.
Is he gonna come? He's
I'm
gonna
like, don't bring him back.
Emerge from the swamp.
Yeah. So when all was said and done and we had our happily ever after, there's a scene where Granny, who in the present, has dementia, but she pulls Sanjay aside and puts her hand on his chest and basically tells him, it's okay now. You can be happy now. You can live a long life now. And Sanjay starts crying, which first of all, I saw some behind the scenes stuff of that scene, and it was not in the like director's notes for him to cry. He just did, like Byeon Woo Seok just did, because it was such a tender scene. So my question was like, okay, she supposedly has dementia, but she understands what they've been through. Like, what is it about grandma being magic? Because she always was like sort of the keeper of the watch, right?
Mm-hmm. She was, yeah.
And so I was like, I just did a quick like Google of Magic Granny, and oh boy, okay. So this is in a Reddit thread. It says, hello, can someone explain to me why Seol's grandma was the key to her time traveling? So here's what somebody says as one of the comments. I think she is the original Seol and grew old without having her happy ending with Sanjay or being able to go back in time to save him. Further, her granddaughter faced the same fate with the one that she loves. So the watch was the key to rectify the past mistakes and mishaps until they found a happy ending. And then another person says, what happened with Sanjay and Imsol also happened to her grandmother. It says, check the grandmother's scene. She always called Sanjay her husband every time she saw him.
She did.
So was that because she was senile, or was that because he was the happily ever after that version of Imsol never got to have?
Well, shit. At first, I thought you were going to say that the granny was fate. Like the granny was
right, and that was what I initially was kind of thinking, that she was somehow like the hands of fate. But this is pretty trippy.
Wow.
And the only reason it's really hitting me is because I just recently read a time travel middle grade novel that I was telling you about, the Korean one. Mm-hmm. So if you want to read the middle grade novel called Spoonful of Time by Flora Ahn, if you want to read it and you don't want it spoiled for you, please go ahead and read it. But I'm going to spoil it for you, Megan, because that was something in this book where there was, it's the main character's grandmother who's senile, who lives with them, who teaches her that their family has this like power to travel back into memories with certain foods that they cook. Oh. And what the girl finds out at the end of the book is that her grandma is her mom, is a version of her mom.
What?
Yes. And it was wild. And that she wasn't senile. It was that being out of her own timeline for so long was messing with her memories, and that when she went back, it would be okay.
But how can the granny exist at the same time as Soul.
She wasn't in her right timeline. She came back. So she's the mom in the future and came back.
Well, but I'm talking about Lovely Runner. How would that work?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, how could she exist in the same time if she's a version of her? I don't know. Like, that's where we get to like the weird rules. I don't know. Like, it's easier to look at her as being fate, but I thought that was really interesting. That what if she's a version of Soul?
Yeah, that's interesting. There was definitely something about Magic Granny.
Yes,
and I loved her.
And I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on that. I'm not saying that this is the explanation.
No,
I just thought it was a pretty wild and interesting one.
Well, I mean, it's a theory. Like and I think there's a lot of theories on who Magic Granny could be. I loved her though. She was. Really
I loved
great.
her.
That got me too when the first time she went back in time and her grandmother was very lucid.
Yes.
And called her by the correct name. That got me. That really, really got me. There's just a lot of love among family members and things in this drama as well. Like they packed a lot into this drama.
Yeah.
Which is why we didn't need a crazy serial killer.
No.
And then there's one quibble that we both have. The only quibble.
Which you notice it hasn't been brought up in any of our questions.
Because none of us want to talk about it.
Look, I
feel
bad. I feel bad because I don't want to like diss the actors because I like the actors.
It's not their fault.
I could have done with 100% less of Hyunju and Imgum's storyline. And that is Imsol's best friend and her older brother. And they had a romance. And that's fine. It's fine. But it didn't propel the main plot forward in any way. It was just silly comic relief. And you know what? It was funny the first time when Imgum saves Hyunju from exposing herself after she shits her pants.
And she's wearing white.
And she's wearing white because sure, I'm here for potty humor. And he swoops in like a hero and ties his shirt around her waist. And, you know, the initial, oh my God, I'm falling for my BFF's annoying brother. You know, what is happening? I only needed that to happen once. Right. And not take precious time away from Imsol and Sanjay's beautiful romance. And also Sanjay's dad trapped in the bathroom acting like he was dying of thirst and hunger when he was only in there for like hours.
I fast forwarded through it. I didn't care. I got to be honest. Everything that kind of went around her mom and his dad, I didn't care about. I really didn't. Like some of that stuff was a little plot filler to me for sure, or like time filler. The brother and best friend romance, and then also just like the drama between her mom and his dad. I just come on.
No.
I don't care. So yeah, that was really my only quibble. It wasn't a huge deal because I just fast forwarded through this. I fast forwarded through a lot of Imgum and Hyunju, and I mean, clearly I didn't miss anything. Like, I mean, I didn't miss but I just, I mean, when you have a romance as good as the main leads,
right? That's all I want to see.
Yeah, and it'd be different too. Like. See You in My 19th Life. The second romance was really good because it was pretty angsty.
It was very angsty. It was very good.
Yeah, so it was like really good and it was fun because there was
it was tied into the main story too.
It was, but there was also there was some tension to it. That's I guess the word that's what we were lacking. With this secondary romance, there was no tension.
It was farcical.
Yeah,
like farce and romance don't really work for me.
No, and I was like this. Leah would not like this. Like that is exactly the type of thing that Leah would be like, hell to the no.
No, not for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the father being locked in the bathroom, which I actually saw a lot of people didn't like that. I don't like because
the fact that he was like hoarse and couldn't even speak when he finally saw Imsol's mom and needed to call for help.
How was he dying in his own bathroom? I was like, you have water, right? Or was that the whole point? I didn't even know. I don't care.
Yeah, because didn't he go to the toilet? Oh, he went to the toilet to rinse his hair. Because he was in the middle of showering or something like that.
I mean, whatever. So I don't want to end on that note, I guess. But
no, because this was a top 5 drama for me. So
yeah, so if you're going to talk about a quibble, that's a pretty minor quibble. It was more.
But I have zero quibbles about the time travel. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't. I really don't because I loved it and I thought it was clever. I'm always going to like when there's like a common thing like time travel and you give it a different rule and a rule that makes sense and a rule that you continue to carry out. I like it. But I would say for me, for Lovely Runner, the role that Fate played is what made me love this drama the most.
Yeah.
I'm always going to like Fate. It's one of my favorite things. And I think that this drama did Fate better than a lot of K-dramas.
It was, I loved it so much. I do want to note one quibble that I did see in our Patreon and just tell you why it doesn't bother me. Like I'm here. Like whatever you want to discuss, I accept your opinion, right? There's someone in Patreon, and I'm sorry that I'm not like mentioning their names. I'm just remembering this. So I don't know who it was. I don't have Patreon open. So whoever you are, if you want to take credit for this theory, go for it. But somebody had mentioned in one of our Patreon discussions that the last time that Im-Sol goes back to prevent them from meeting and then like, has her family move and whatever, she's like, they never show her going back to the future. So does that mean that she just lived out those like 15 years or whatever as her 30-something-year-old self in her teenage, like growing up body? And
I actually did think about that, but no,
I'm like,
I don't
maybe
think she did.
I don't care, but I'm choosing to believe that she did what she needed to do and then she went back to the future.
That's what I think. To be honest, I did think that. I was like, did she really live for 15 years now? And I'm like, no, she went back. I fully believe she did. They just didn't show it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, me
Which
too.
they could have showed it, but I think that
we would have lost out on the mystery of what happened in that last timeline.
Yeah, but I also think it just wasn't really needed, I guess, is how I look at it. Like, it just would have, like, cluttered things.
But I'm honestly fine either way. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
Then that's still her ultimate sacrifice, is that she relived her teen years and young adult years to save her true love.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she did because she wanted the job. She got the job she had always wanted, so she changed her life. She was like so maybe she did. Maybe she did.
I'm okay.
But I also don't really care.
No, because it still works for me. It still works. But I do want to know granny theories. So let us know if you've got some of
Please let me know granny theories, because I'm always going to love like E.T. granny from my Mr. Magic granny. Always going to love the grannies. Okay.
And she was fantastic. So
yeah, you know what? They didn't kill her. We finally get living granny. Thank you.
Granny lived.
So I appreciated that. Yeah, so that's it. I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say about Lovely Runner, or if you liked it, if you didn't. We loved it, but you can disagree. We're okay with it if you disagree.
You can disagree, but it doesn't mean that we have to agree with your disagreement.
No, exactly.
I like what I like. There.
Yeah. So let us know what other hot dramas you're watching, and we'll try to catch them this summer. Even if it's busy, we still want to know, what you guys are watching. So let us know.
Yep. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Annyeong.
감사합니다. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!